Okay, we're back now connected to the panel set, which is not partly shaded. The other thing that's interesting to note, these are two 100 watt panels, so a theoretical output of 200 watts maximum. Due to the curvature of the bimini, one side is pointing attitude-wise, mainly towards the sun, although the sun is a little bit towards the back of the boat. The other side is obviously, due to the curvature, pointing more away from the sun. And you can see that takes us our output down from 200, because we're using two panels, to 115. So it's just something to be really kept in mind, whether you're going to have adjustable panel angle and whether you're going to have shading. It's about an hour since the previous video, and the panel that was shaded is now less shaded, and it's gone up from 2.2 to 3.9 amps. I'm now going to very quickly go and connect the other one and see what that one's doing. So as you can see, there's now not a great deal of difference between the two panels, which is what you'd expect, clearly. I find when you reconnect them, they do take a while to build up. Anyway, so between the two of them, with a good level of sunshine, although it is a little bit hazy today, we should be getting around the 8 amps mark, which is fairly healthy. Okay, now the scary bit. I got some chops and wires. I've got these set up in two lots of series panels. think you can get doubling connectors like that, but they would be big and bulky, and that's not a route I'd want to take. Okay, so I've temporarily rigged those up just to make sure that we have done the right thing. I'm going to quickly measure the voltage, which means I'm going to drop everything all over the place, but there we go. So you can see that voltmeter there. 43 volts. I'm just going to do it once more because my connector's dropped out here. Yep, 43. So that should do. That's about what it should be. Now we can connect it all up again. It's 6:30 here in southern Italy in the morning. I wanted to see what time or what amount of light it took for these solar panels to start doing something, and that's been quite a pleasant surprise. So as you can see, the sun is nowhere near up yet. I've been watching the voltage on my PPT controller, which we're just going to go and have a look at now. It seems that it starts charging when there's a 5-volt difference between the panel voltage and the boat voltage. So as you can see here, it seems to get up to about 5-volt different and then start charging and then drop back a bit as the charge starts going into the system. But to be charging in these low light levels is really quite impressive, to be getting anything at all. Yesterday we got 1.1 kilowatt hours, which equates at 24 volts to about 44 amp hours. So given the curving and given the shading, I'm really quite pleased with that. So I've mocked up how the installation is going to look. They had to go on the bimini because there were panels here before. I've been able to reuse the side tabs here, which are velcroed. The important thing is that these panels don't flap. They bend, but they mustn't be shaken. So I have a metal bar underneath here, which is supporting the back. There's another bar about 2/3 of the way forward supporting the front. I've made up an intermediate support in wood here, and finally inside there are supports for the center of the panel longitudinally here, and I'm going to have to come up with a solution where I've put a strap down temporarily to hold it in case there's any wind. So the panels are curving really nicely, as you can see. The old ones were fiberglass. No, they were plastic, which meant when they got hot they bent. These have been up here now 4 days in this position. As you can see, they're all tied securely, and they haven't bent. They've stayed in that new form. So this is the old front flap from the old panels, and I was initially going to take this off and replace it, but I think because solar panels function better if they're cooler, and as you can see underneath here is an air gap, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a second flap up, which will go between here and the velcro on the front of the panel here, which means that when it's windy I can close it all up and it will be secure, but when it's not windy then I can open this up and allow some airflow, because normally the boat will be on the anchor, so the air will flow both on the top of the panel and on the bottom of the panel. So the next video I'm going to take the panels off and show you how the supports work, and then we'll get together making it look nice and tidy. Okay, so here is the installation starting to take some shape. I've taken a piece of wood here, which I've screwed down through pieces of stainless which are wrapped around the pole, so that's nice and solid. That creates a space for the top. I'm going to staple velcro here, make another one of these for the middle here, and then the middle section here, and finally it's held in place with velcro here, velcro at the front, and there'll be more velcro here on the back panel. Got some drilling to do, got some cutting to do, but all the panels are now lying upside down, ready to have the Velcro stuck on them. I'm not using self-adhesive Velcro because the glue doesn't tend to last, particularly when it gets hot. So I'm using a flexible glue and non-self-adhesive Velcro. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so we're nearing completion on this installation now. The solar panels are nice and flat, nice and smooth, gentle bend. They're supported in the middle of the joint, then in the middle of each panel and at the edge. All I need to do is to come up with something to stabilize this joint, which I think I'm going to bond a piece of carbon fiber strip on the inside. One interesting thing I noticed when I set it up, as you can see, there's 4 panels. When I'd installed them finally, I noticed the output was lower than before, and it's because instead of having a pair one side, so that one, and then the other pair being this one and this one, which I then wired up 2 in series and then the 2 in parallel, I'd made the pair this one and that one, and the output was about 30% down. So the important thing is if you've got shading and you've got 4 panels, then keep the shading all on one pair and keep one good pair in the sunshine, because in the afternoon where I am in this marina, those 2 catch the sun. By the way, you can see what I mean. That's why I need to stabilize that joint. Anyway, so these 2 are in the sun and the 2 on the other side are in the shade, or partly shaded, and it makes a huge difference. So anyway, so I've run the cables here. I've screwed down cable securer, so that all pulls that down to the piece of wood which is underneath. These cables will run closely. There's another cable thing there, which means that all the connections are up inside the pocket of this cover, so we don't see any of those. And then the final 2 wires come out down here and disappear into a gland, where they go to an MPP controller, which I've shown you already, a Victron MPP controller, which I'm very pleased with. So yeah, I think that's about it for this installation. Really very pleased with the output of these panels. I seem to be getting about 1.24 kilowatts. We're in southern Italy in the middle of April. So these are 100 watt panels. So yeah, overall these days we don't talk in amp hours, we talk kilowatt hours. 1.24 kilowatt hours divided by 24, you'll see the number of amp hours in one day. It's enough to keep the fridge, freezer cold, run the hot water 500 watt immersion heater for about 20 minutes a day, which makes a bit of difference, as well as all the lights, anchor light and everything else like that. And this is on a 58-foot sailing boat. So yeah, thank you, Lensun.